Greetings, students. Welcome to my house. We're going to start talking this week. We're going to talk about technology. This is your GBS Advanced English lecture for Unit 3, Jazz English 2. This week, we're going to talk about a few words that are synonyms and what that really means, what it means to have words that are similar. We're also going to talk about some different terms for technology and things that are in the new and modern way of speaking. We'll also talk about some cultural differences and social media. So stay right there. Let's get started. Well, welcome to technology. The first thing we want to talk about today are the three words in your vocabulary: frugal, thrifty, and cheap. Now, these are synonyms. A synonym means that they are words that almost mean the same thing, but it's in that small difference that makes things so different between the words and how you use them. Let's take these three words and break them down a little bit. When you talk about somebody who is frugal, that means that somebody who, well, all three of the words start off meaning very little money. But somebody who is frugal is somebody who's very careful with their money and doesn't spend things very often. Well, somebody who is thrifty goes out and usually saves money by looking for savings and coupons and things that will help them. So both of those mean somebody who spends money. When you talk about a person who is cheap, you're actually referring to them as not being generous, as somebody who doesn't give money even when somebody needs it, like me. But when somebody is cheap, they need the money. They're not willing to give it to anybody. They're not willing to spend it. They're going to hold on to it as long as they can. So words that are synonyms mean things that are very similar, but those are the small differences between them. So when you write or when you speak and people say, is that the word you're really meaning there? It may be a synonym for something else and may have a better word for that situation. So be careful with your words. All right, so we've talked a little bit about synonyms. Now let's move on and talk about some technology terms that are going to come across in your studies and in your daily life. We talked about the first one, which is a pair called a technophile and a technophobe. Technophiles love technology and technophobes hate it. I gave you the example of my mother and father, where my father loves technology and he uses all the different parts. Sorry, Dad, if you watch this video, you're in the video. And my mom, again, sorry, Mom. My mom is a technophobe. She is just now getting into the 21st century and has discovered what a Kindle is and what an iPad is. But she has only recently discovered it, and she's still afraid of them and making a mistake. So that's the difference between a technophile and a technophobe. Moving on, talking about GPS. GPS works by using three fixed places and one unknown place. So if you've got three places that you're moving around and you have your car or you walking, you can position yourself by knowing where these three places are and the time difference between the locations. Now you only really need two to find approximate location. Three is better. But we have global positioning satellites that help us find where we are on the planet. Along with that, we come up with the black box. Now, the black box is a really great invention. It was first created for airplanes and helps us discover what went wrong if something happens. In our cars, the black box is very important, especially for me because I'm a foreigner in Korea. It's different and it's important because with the black box, you have a video record of everything that's happening while you're driving. It also keeps an audio record of what's happening inside the car while you're driving. If you haven't seen the black box or seen the video recording, when you pull it out and listen to it, you can watch the video and hear everything that's happening inside the car. So if there's an accident, they can tell what was happening just before the accident. Now, as a foreigner, the black box protects me because the laws in Korea don't protect me as well as they protect you, my students. Moving on, let's talk about remote controls. Now, a remote control is a great invention, and it allows us to control a device from a distant location. Now, I still remember the times back when I was a kid where I had to get up, go over to the television, and turn the television channel by hand. Now, I know that sounds old, but that wasn't that long ago. Well, 30 years if you count that. But anyway, a remote control allows you to control it from a different location. Now, in Korea, you refer to it as a remote con. This is correct, but it's a Konglish word, so try to avoid using that in English. Try only using that when you're speaking Korean. Let's go on to one final thing, and that's something that's very new in today's world, and that's called taking a selfie. Well, a selfie means that you take your telephone and you hold it up and click, you take your own picture. Now, this is a good way of getting pictures to put on the internet and share with your friends. That means that you are the photographer and the subject of your photograph. A selfie is a good thing to do, and they have those long sticks that allow you to take even better selfies. But this is a new term, and it's still making its way through the slang dictionary and into normal speech. But the internet generation uses it all over the internet. We'll talk a little bit more about social media and social stuff as we come up to the next part. We've come to the last section for this week's lecture, and we're going to talk about social media and the cultural differences between the West and Korea. First of all, let's talk about social media. Social media is any kind of technology that's web-based that allows you to communicate and keep in touch with other people. The most popular ones now are Twitter, Facebook, and KakaoTalk, at least here in Korea. And this allows you to keep up to date with your friends and what's happening in their lives. You can share videos, pictures, you can share your entire life. And matter of fact, some people do share their entire life. I have a cousin who puts everything that she does on the internet, telling us every location she goes to and what she's doing at that location. This is the benefit and the curse of social media. When you use it, be careful what you put on the internet, because once it's put on the internet, it's there forever. Yes, you may delete the picture, you may delete your post, but there's an electronic record of it someplace on the internet. So before you post it on your Facebook page, before you post that on the Twitter account, think about, do you really want to share it with everyone? Because the minute you post it to the internet, even if you've put it as a private setting, it's on the internet for someone to find. So be careful with that. Now, you're all in college right now. Yes, those pictures from MT where you're drinking and sharing times with your friends, this is great. But when you go looking for that first job, they're going to pull up your Facebook account or your Twitter account, and they're going to look at those pictures and say, do I really want to hire this person? Be careful what you post. If in doubt, save it and share it personally, but don't post it. Now let's talk about cultural differences. Now, I know this is going to sound strange, but I still remember the times back when I was in middle school receiving my first computer, and my computer was an Amiga 512. Now that's a 512 kilobyte computer. I know computers don't even run in kilobytes anymore, but my first computer was an Amiga 512. If I wanted to change from one program to another, I had to turn off the computer, take out a disk, put in a new disk, and start the computer all over again. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but I remember those times. Now, we've moved from kilobytes to megabytes, megabytes to gigabytes, gigabytes to terabytes, and we're even getting ready within the next 5 years from moving from terabytes to petabytes. This is going to keep growing and keep getting more updated as we go through our lifetime. So you're going to be able to tell your kids, yeah, back when I was in college, we had computers that ran on gigabytes. And they're going to be like, gigabytes? That's so slow. Well, when we get to faster and faster speeds, you'll know what I'm talking about now. Another difference. This is a big difference between Korea and America, and that's Wi-Fi access. In Korea, you enjoy one of the fastest, if not the fastest, internet connection speed in the world. Congratulations. Plus, Korea has at least one computer for every person in the country. This includes PC bongs and everything. Plus, most Korean people have excellent connection to telephones. I have a Galaxy Note player myself. I use my phone not mainly for phones, but for other applications. As you've seen in class, I use it for applications that we use all the time. In America, there's not many places that you're going to find Wi-Fi's. You'll find Wi-Fi hotspots. Starbucks Coffee is a great place that has Wi-Fi hotspots, or a campus that might have Wi-Fi. But in general, there's not as much access to wireless internet as there is here in Korea. Another thing that's very different is that most Westerners don't use text messaging nearly as much as Koreans do. I know I've seen some of you in class using KakaoTalk. I know who you are. And sending messages in class. The technology to send fast messages is great, but sending text messages also is kind of cultural. We'll talk a little bit more about cultural slang. Actually, a couple of the groups are thinking about doing this for the culture project, and internet shorthand speak. If they don't talk about it in your class, we'll talk about it together after they've done their presentation. So, technology keeps changing. Cultural differences, there's a lot of them. Technology in Korea, be grateful you grew up in one of the most advanced countries in the world. Okay, we've talked about many things today. We've talked about different types of technology. We've talked about synonyms and why some of them are the same, but with small differences. We've also talked about different terms, technophile, technophobe, selfies, and we have also talked about the changes and technology that are available here in Korea and that have changed in my lifetime, as well as going to be changing in your lifetime. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you in class this week.